Hello, everyone. Life isn't just about the moments we rise, it's about the moments we fall and what happens after. Maybe you've been torn apart by betrayal, by failure, or by circumstances you never asked for. I've been there. It hurts. It's lonely, but let me tell you something, that moment of being broken, it's not the end, it's the foundation. Because when life breaks you, that's where God steps in and starts the rebuilding process. And guess what? The world will see it. Even those who doubted you. The break is not the end. When life breaks you, whether it's a failed relationship, losing a job, a betrayal, or even losing yourself, it's natural to feel like that's it. Game over. But let me tell you, the break is not the end, it's a turning point. Think about how gold is refined. It has to go through fire to burn away impurities, or how a seed has to be buried in the darkness of the soil before it can sprout into something extraordinary. The same applies to you. That break, that pain, that moment you thought would destroy you, it's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a better one. The truth is, the break is where transformation begins. When you hit rock bottom, you find out what you're truly made of. And that's where God steps in. It's in the moments when you feel shattered that God begins to piece you back together, not into who you were, but into someone even stronger, someone with more clarity, more purpose. The key is to stop seeing the break as a dead end and start seeing it as a detour, redirection to something greater. Here's the thing, the break does not define you. It's what you do with the break that shapes your future. Will you stay down, or will you let it teach you, mold you, and prepare you for what's next? Here's a mindset shift. Stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? Stop saying it's over and start saying, this is the start of something new. I'll leave you with this: if you're broken right now, it's because there's something powerful waiting on the other side. You're not being buried, you're being planted. Hold on to that truth. The break is not the end, it's where the rebuilding begins. God works through the process, not the shortcut. Let's face it, we live in a world obsessed with speed. Instant results, fast solutions, overnight success, it's what everyone seems to want. But here's the truth, God doesn't work like that. He's not about shortcuts, he's about the process. Why? Because the process is where growth happens. Think about a butterfly. It doesn't skip the chrysalis stage, it struggles, it fights its way out of the cocoon, and in doing so, it strengthens its wings to fly. If you were to cut the process short and help it out, it wouldn't survive. It's the same with us. When you're broken and asking God to fix you, it can feel frustrating when things don't change overnight. But understand this: God isn't just fixing what's broken, He's transforming you into someone who won't break the same way again. That kind of transformation doesn't come from shortcuts, it comes from the refining, the molding, the stretching that only happens in the process. The process teaches you what shortcuts can't. Patience, you learn to trust God's timing over your own. Resilience, the struggle strengthens you for the challenges ahead. Faith, when you don't see immediate results, you learn to rely on God instead of your own understanding. Think about King David. Before he became king, he spent years in the wilderness running from Saul. It wasn't wasted time, it was preparation. The wilderness taught him humility, leadership, and dependence on God. If David had taken a shortcut, he wouldn't have been ready for the throne. The same is true for you. You may feel stuck in a process right now, healing from pain, building your career, or working on a relationship, but know that God is doing something in you during this time. Shortcuts might give you temporary relief, but they won't give you lasting growth. Here's the truth: God isn't just working on your circumstances, He's working on you. He's not in a rush because He knows the value of preparation. When the time is right, you'll see why the process was necessary. You'll look back and realize that the lessons, the strength, and the faith you gained couldn't have come any other way. So don't fight the process, embrace it, trust that God is working even when it feels slow. Remember, the goal isn't to get through life quickly, it's to get through life transformed, and transformation takes time. Rebuilding starts from within. When we're broken, our first instinct is often to look outward to fix the circumstances, to confront those who hurt us, or to sort of search for external solutions to make everything feel right again. But here's the hard truth: true rebuilding doesn't start on the outside. It starts within you. Why? Because the greatest battles are fought in your heart and mind. You can't rebuild your life if your inner world, your mindset, your emotions, and your spirit is still in ruins. If you try to rebuild externally without addressing what's happening inside, you'll find yourself back in the same place, facing the same struggles. Think of it like a house. Imagine a home with structural damage, cracks in the foundation. You could repaint the walls, add new furniture, and hang beautiful pictures, but if you don't fix the foundation, the house will eventually collapse. The same is true for you. If your inner foundation isn't strong, the external fixes won't last. Rebuilding from within requires 3 key steps. Healing your heart. You can't rebuild if you're carrying bitterness, anger, or self-doubt. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened or excusing those who hurt you. It means choosing to release the pain and trust God to fill the broken places with His peace. Ask yourself, what pain am I holding on to that's weighing me down? Pray for strength to let go, because you can't grab onto your future if you're still clinging to the past. Renewing your mind. Rebuilding starts with shifting how you think about yourself and your situation. Stop replaying the narrative of failure or betrayal in your mind. Start speaking truth over your life. I am stronger than this. This break does not define me. God is working in me even when I can't see it. Changing your thoughts changes your trajectory, strengthening your spirit. Rebuilding requires a deep connection with God. Spend time in prayer, worship in His Word. These aren't just feel-good actions, they're the tools God uses to rebuild your inner foundation. A strong spirit can withstand any storm, and it's through your faith that you'll find the courage to rebuild. Rebuilding from within isn't easy. It means facing yourself, your pain, your fears, your doubts. It's uncomfortable and messy, but it's necessary. The work you do on the inside will determine the strength and stability of everything that comes after. Here's the beauty of rebuilding from within. When you rebuild your heart, your mind, and your spirit, you become unshakable. External circumstances may shift, people may still doubt you, but your foundation will be solid. And once your inner world is strong, the external rebuilding will fall into place. So stop focusing on what others think. Stop waiting for external validation. The real work starts inside, and when you rebuild from within, no one, not even those who broke you, can tear you down again. Your rebuild will be public for a purpose. When life breaks you, it's easy to want to hide, to retreat, to fix yourself in private where no one can see the mess, the struggle, or the pain. And while there's a time for quiet healing, let me tell you this: God doesn't just rebuild you for your benefit. He rebuilds you for a greater purpose. When God restores, renews, and transforms your life, He does it in a way that others can see. Why? Because your story isn't just about you. It's about the people who need to witness what's possible when God steps in. Your rebuild will be public, and that's intentional. 1, your public rebuild is a testimony. I think about the people in your life, family, friends, co-workers, even strangers. They're watching whether you realize it or not. They've seen you at your lowest, and when they see you rise, It's undeniable proof of God's power. Your comeback becomes a living testimony that inspires others to believe that if God can do it for you, He can do it for them too. 2. It's not about revenge, it's about redemption. Yes, there will be people who doubted you, who betrayed you, or who thought your brokenness was permanent. And yes, they'll witness your transformation, but this isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving that God's grace is bigger than anyone's opinion or actions. Your public rebuild isn't about revenge, it's about redemption, God showing His ability to turn even the worst situations into something beautiful.
3. Visibility creates impact.
Your story is power, and the more visible your transformation, the greater the impact it can have. The people watching you might be struggling in silence, wondering if they can ever recover. When they see your rebuild, they'll find hope. You become a light in their darkness, a reminder that no matter how broken they feel, rebuilding is possible. 4. Public rebuilding requires courage. Let's be real, being rebuilt in public isn't easy. It means people might see you in the messy middle, not just the polished end result. It requires vulnerability and faith to trust that God is working, even when the process feels incomplete. But remember, your courage to keep going is what makes your story so powerful. 5. God's glory, not yours. Here's the ultimate reason your rebuild will be public. It's not about you, it's about showing the world what God can do. When people see your transformation, they won't just admire you, they'll see God's fingerprints all over your life. They'll see how He took something broken and turned it into something extraordinary. Examples of public rebuilds. Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery and thrown into prison. Joseph's journey wasn't private. When God finally elevated him to a position of power in Egypt, it was a public display of his faithfulness. Job, after losing everything, Job's restoration wasn't quiet. Everyone who saw him knew that God had returned to him double what he had lost. Your story is the blueprint for someone else's breakthrough. The reason your rebuild will be public is because your life is meant to inspire others. You might feel like the spotlight is uncomfortable, but don't hide what God is doing in your life. Your transformation is the evidence someone else needs to take their first step toward healing. So when God rebuilds you in front of the people who broke you, remember this, it's not about humiliation, it's about elevation. It's not about revenge, it's about reflection, reflecting God's glory to the world.
The same people who broke you may witness your breakthrough. When you're broken, whether by betrayal, rejection, or disappointment, it's hard to imagine a day when the pain doesn't define you. And it's even harder to imagine rising above it with the people who caused it still in your orbit. But here's the truth. The same people who broke you may very well witness your breakthrough. And that's not a coincidence. It's part of the plan. End quote. 1. Your breakthrough is not about revenge. Oh, let's be clear. This isn't about rubbing your success in anyone's face. It's not about showing off or seeking revenge. God isn't in the business of petty victories. When He rebuilds you and allows those who broke you to see it, it's for a higher purpose, to show that no one's actions can stop His plan for your life. When Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, they thought they were ending his dreams. Years later, when they bowed before him as the ruler of Egypt, Joseph didn't retaliate. He said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. The same brothers who broke him had to witness his breakthrough, not for Joseph's pride, but for God's glory. 2, their witness serves as validation. And the people who broke you often doubt your ability to recover. They may have counted you out, written you off, or assumed you'd stay stuck in the pain. When they witness your breakthrough, it validates your strength and resilience. More importantly, it validates God's work in your life. 3, breakthrough doesn't always mean reconciliation. Let's be honest, some of the people who broke you might never apologize. They might never acknowledge the harm they caused, and that's okay. Your breakthrough isn't dependent on their remorse. The beauty of God's plan is that He can lift you up in their presence without requiring anything from them. However, sometimes witnessing your breakthrough can lead to unexpected reconciliation or healing. While you should never rely on that outcome, it's a reminder that your story has the power to change others, even those who hurt you. Or your response matters. When the people who broke you see your breakthrough, your reaction is crucial. Will you respond with pride or humility? With bitterness or grace? God's purpose in your breakthrough is bigger than proving a point. It's about showing the strength of forgiveness, the power of resilience, and the depth of His love. Imagine this: the people who doubted you, gossiped about you, or even actively tried to tear you down are now watching you thrive. What will they see? Someone who's bitter and vengeful, or someone who's gracious and grounded? Your response is part of the testimony. 5, their presence highlights God's power. When God rebuilds you in front of those who broke you, it's a reminder that no one's actions can override His plan. Their schemes didn't work. Their words didn't break you permanently. Their betrayal didn't derail your destiny. Their presence isn't about them. It's about 6. Your breakthrough becomes a light for others. The people who broke you might be stuck in their own cycles of pain, fear, or insecurity. When they witness your breakthrough, it may plant a seed of transformation in them. They may see the power of grace and growth and realize they too can change. Your rebuild will inspire others. When you're in the middle of brokenness, it's hard to see how your story could ever matter to anyone else. But here's the powerful truth: your rebuild isn't just about you. It's about the lives you're destined to impact through your transformation. Your pain, your perseverance, and your eventual triumph will inspire others in ways you may never fully understand. 1, people relate to brokenness. Everyone has experienced some kind of loss, failure, or heartbreak, but not everyone has seen what it looks like to rise from the ashes. When you share your journey, you remind people they're not alone. Your vulnerability becomes their permission to feel, to hope, and to keep going. Think about it. How many times have you been moved by someone else's story of survival? Their courage to rebuild sparked something in you. That's the power of your story. What feels like devastation today could become the light someone else needs tomorrow. Your journey becomes someone else's roadmap. When people see you rebuilding, they're not just inspired, they're educated. Your story becomes a roadmap for someone who doesn't know where to start. How did you get through the darkest days? What steps did you take to rebuild your life? What lessons did you learn along the way? By sharing your process, you give others a tangible example of how they too can rise. um, 3, inspiration comes from authenticity, not perfection. Here's the beauty of your rebuild. It doesn't have to be flawless to inspire others. In fact, it's the imperfections, the messy moments, and the times you stumbled but kept going that resonate the most. People don't need to see a perfect story. They need to see a real one. When you're authentic about your struggles and victories, you show others that they don't have to be perfect to make progress. Or your rebuild will show others what's possible. There is nothing more powerful than seeing someone else do what you thought was impossible. Your comeback, your transformation will challenge others to rethink their limitations. It will prove that even in the face of overwhelming odds, rebuilding is possible. Maybe it's the single parent who sees your story and realizes they can rebuild after divorce. Maybe it's the entrepreneur who sees your perseverance and finds the courage to try again after failure. Maybe it's the person battling depression who sees your joy and starts to believe in healing. Your story is evidence that what seems impossible is achievable with faith, effort, and resilience. 5, you'll be a reminder of God's faithfulness. When others see you thrive after a season of brokenness, they'll see more than just your strength. They'll see God's faithfulness. Your life becomes a living testimony of his power to restore, redeem, and rebuild. It's not about boasting in what you've done. It's about pointing others to the source of your strength. Your rebuild will inspire others to trust God with their own broken pieces. 6, when your story inspires one person, the impact doesn't stop there. That person might go on to inspire someone else, and the cycle continues. Your decision to rebuild isn't just changing your life, it's creating ripples that can change entire communities, families, and even generations. And when you think about